I believe that out of 100 leads a week, you should close 5 to 7 deals. That may sound insane. You mean to tell me 95 people will tell me no, won't pick up the phone, ghost me? Yeah, that's just the way it is. And again, these aren't numbers that I'm coming up with. This is just the lay of the land for a good agent. Okay. So the point being, a couple of things here. Number one, what happens if you think that 50 leads is enough? That might be okay to start with, but 50 leads, you might get 2 sales out of that, maybe 3. And that's kind of in the part-time range. And that's interesting because that in comparison to face-to-face, face-to-face usually needs much less, right? A full-time rate of work for a face-to-face agent, 20 is a good place to start, direct mail leads, right? So it's just different. It's a different business. And the thing that I struggle with to try to clarify as much, and this is kind of my opportunity, is you have to understand that in telesales, you have to attack from a position of power to have the numbers on your side. And the way you get numbers on your side is by buying a lot of leads. You can start with less, like 50 is fine to start with. But as you start to get traction, you need to start scaling higher, 75, 100 plus a week. That's how you get the most opportunity for exposure, where you don't feel like you have to chase every single person that picks up the phone because you have a plentiful supply of interested prospects. Your job is just to dig through it to find them. Okay. So keep that in mind for anybody starting telesales. Don't downplay this. There is this kind of thing that we have to deal with as agents where it's like, do I do the right thing, which is expensive and risky, or do I go the cheap route and save money? That's the fallacy we tell ourselves. And then ultimately end up in this circling the bowl situation where it's like, I buy the crap leads, I get crap results. I start to lose perspective on the opportunity of this business because of my results. Then I start to doubt the whole business and come up with conspiracies about it's a leads racket or it's an MLM scheme and to justify my failure. And then I just, circle the ball and I'm gone, right? And I quit before you really even gave yourself the best chance. But it originated from making a bad decision in how you were going to pursue the very important activity of generating quality leads. Okay. So this is why I'm hesitant to suggest aged leads, or I'm hesitant to suggest an undersupply of leads. You will find yourself in a bad position if you cut yourself too short. And the main thing is this up here. This is what we're against at the beginning and throughout it all. If we cut ourselves short and develop this psychology that this is a racket, it's bullshit, man, that's bad. While it is an option to start with aged leads, I have it as an option. I've always expressed, as the preference I have is to always buy fresh leads because I have seen where you're at hundreds, if not thousands of times. And I've seen where agents are after the fact the same amount of times, right? And a lot of the time they don't get results. And that starts the psychology of increasing doubt, conspiracy, frustration, and eventual early unfortunate exit out of the business, right? And it's not a guarantee just by buying fresh leads either that you're going to not experience that. There are plenty of people that buy fresh leads that don't do well, right? This isn't so much of a testimony of here's the guarantee of way to be successful. Nobody can ever do that. But we need to, as we logically understand, align our odds in our favor in every way humanly possible, right? Because this is a business of high failure rate for all sorts of reasons. Even when everything is in your favor, the odds are stacked against you. And we need to take that seriously. And that's the problem when an organization pushes aged leads as an equivalent to fresh leads. It's not that you can't get results. It's just that be prepared for the headwinds. Be prepared for the the issues that are associated with them. But if you are, and you look at it the right way, and this is what I would ask you to do, if you go that route, have the proper perspective, go into this understanding these are leads that I'm practicing on to get the mistakes out, to get up and running. And the goal is to get confident from some of that experience so that I can feel confident about buying direct mail or the fresh leads. You will always have to take a leap of faith. All right. This is a business, like all businesses, where you don't know how well you're going to do until you do it. You can sit here, and I think my training does a great job of preparing you. I know it does. I feel it is. I'm always looking for ways to make it better and improve so that you feel more confident and ready, but you will always have doubt. It is the human experience. And there's only one way to overcome that. It is you have to just do it. It always comes down to just do it. Preparation, getting comfortable, getting everything aligned. There's still doubt. There's still no certainty that you're going to be successful. There's increased odds of that, but that doesn't mean guarantees. And that's never, ever, ever going to go away. At some point, you got to take the leap of faith, every single one of you. Okay. And again, thank goodness we do, because if the pathway was clear that success is guaranteed, how many more people would do this wonderful business? A lot more. How much more competition? How much less money would we be making? A lot less. A lot more competition. So these kind of roadblocks are not obstacles or roadblocks. These are gifts, providential gifts that for those who see it the right way, appreciate it and embrace it. Try not to softball this stuff to you. Like, this is a business that's tough. Aged leads are not the same as fresh leads. Doesn't mean there's not opportunity in them, but you've got to get your head on straight and have the right discernment about how to look at these, right? And you need to know yourself too. This is part of that, right? Like, we all have an inner battle with the execution of this business every single day, right? Some days are worse than others. Some days are better than others. And a man's got to know his limitations, right? So for me, I'm no better than any of you. I just survived longer winning against the devil on my shoulder. And I kind of know what works well for me and how to gear myself up to do well. That's why I only work fresh leads, because I did not want to experience rejection at high levels, because I know what it does to me psychologically, right? Again, there's the logic and then there's the emotion. I'd like to say I'm some sort of emotional, emotionally resilient and strong and, empowered, but we all face the same demons. You just got to know how to manage them. It's kind of how I thought about it. How can I get over this fear? Well, how can I get over this nervousness and this feeling that I'm getting just constant rejection. I didn't tell her this, but it's good. People don't reject you. They don't know who you are. They can't reject you, right? They're rejecting your offer. They're rejecting what you're there to talk about. That's not a personal rejection, right? And this is a logical attempt to try to explain it. Of course, there's still the sting of rejection, right? But that kind of helps with the perspective of thinking like it's nothing personal. It's just the reaction. And and have a little empathy for the client. They're constantly called all the time. They're going through hard times in their life. We don't know what their personal issues are. And when we show up at the door, get on the phone, we're just the proverbial dog they kick, right? It doesn't make it right what they're doing, but we kind of have to think about like we're in that mode of, we're the target a lot of the times. And, again, it's do you get mad about that and get pissed at people for being what they are and frustrated and having shortcomings like all of us? I mean, I certainly have, but that contributes to that swirl the bowl kind of thing, as opposed to thinking, hey, look, I understand the situation people are in and I know it's not personal and, and I'm going to embrace that, right? And do the best I can with what I got. It's better to have that approach than the opposite. The other thing too, that's great to remember is that to an extent, this business is very much like working out, doing, any kind of physical activity. It's always hardest in the beginning. How do I get used to getting the no's and all that stuff? First of all, there's safety in numbers. When you do a lot of activity, yes, you'll hear a lot of no's, but you'll get a lot of yeses and you'll see the money come into your bank account. That kind of levels the playing field. The no's don't sting nearly as bad when you got money and you're making sales, right? So that's why we scale up and do lots of activity, because in a sense, it's kind of a shield against the rejection that we would otherwise feel if we weren't doing as much activity. The other thing too, the more you hear no and the more you hear yes, the more immune and the more of a thicker skin you build through the process of this. The no's don't matter as much because you're confident, gained through the act of a leap of faith, that by the execution of this system, you will get to the yeses, right? But this is knowledge you only know and like have the feeling of in the execution and experience of it. Everybody starts with the doubt of and no knowledge of, oh, am I going to succeed or not, right? You got to take that leap of faith. But through that process of the numbers and just you'll become more resilient. It won't bother you much. I'm not saying it'll ever go away. And that's what I told the agent. You're never going to get away from the pain and the struggle of this business. It won't take up as much room. It won't take as much energy, and it won't frustrate you as much because you've seen the success. You know what's out there. And there's that little spark of confidence there that you'll have to kind of save you from a lot of the frustration.